celebrating together so joyfully. Words pour out from our kind souls. There is no place for inflated egos. This place is home to you and me. Surroundings familiar, a community. Let's write the words from our minds. All those adventures will be sublime. This group belongs to the member poets, caring and sharing those precious moments. Let's laugh together, then share some tears, emotions displayed without anxiety or fear. The Quill and Parchment Society, elevating poets, honoring art, enriching souls, celebrating community.
Here we go, guys. Doing another show. This one a little different. Tressa, I see your face, so I'm going to welcome you first. How are you today?
I'm doing good, thank you. I'm excited to be doing this finally.
Oh, we're glad to have you joining us. I see somebody connected on mute. Is that you, Belladonna? Zach, are you on mute? Yep. Zach? Invite. Just got the call in from you, Belladonna. You should be coming and joining us immediately. I just accepted. Yep, there you are. Want to say hi?
Hi, Bill. How are you?
Well, and you, Noelle?
I'm doing well. Hi, Tressa.
Hello.
The funny thing is, the only one we're missing is Zach, and I see a mute sign up there without his face on it. Zach, are you muted? He showed up and then dropped out, so I don't know where he went. It's funny because we were just talking about this show like 30 minutes ago and how we were going to start and how we were going to welcome you gals in to join us, and we're very excited. But Zach appears to be having some technical difficulties.
No.
How about we start? It's okay. It's okay. We deal with those. I just seen him appear again, so he's going to be here very shortly. Zach, I see a mute sign. There you go. He's coming in.
All right.
Can you with us now, buddy? Yes, we can.
All right. Nice. I apologize.
Everybody good?
Apologies for the technical stuff. I'm good.
Silly interweb. So let's discuss what we got going on here, guys. We got some holdovers from last show. I believe there's 4 pieces. So When you gals look, we've assigned readers in parentheses beside those, so it's less confusing as to who's reading and who's commenting. Tressa, we've practiced this before. We haven't with Noelle, but she has some experience, Zach said, on LMP, so it's going to be very, very easy, okay? Let's see. The first part of the show is going to be those 4 holdover pieces. And then the second part of the show is going to be entries from all the Parchies that entered Yumpie's Poe contest. And we'll get to that in the second segment of the show, but we're very much looking forward to this. Looking forward to our guests, Tressa and Noelle. Thank you both for joining us here. Zach and I are super excited to have somebody talking. He's told me time and time again he'd like to listen to a voice that wasn't mine. So anyway, here we go. Zach, are you ready to do the rundown? Tell people where we are and what we're doing?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
All the Parchies and folks back home who are following along can follow us at or could see the links and such from the topic board at the very top, second from the top where it says the reading list podcast episodes 5 and 6, and that's where you'll find us. And
Fantastic.
are we ready to get into some poetry?
Yeah.
I think we are.
All right. Sounds good. Okay. All right. First up, we have Yumpie's piece, and that's called A Tongue of Knowledge in the Feathered Night. And I'm going to give that a read. I walked into the desert of my soul, bare feet bleeding prayers into sand. Bones hummed the hymn of lost time. The moon hung low, a blind oracle. Silence as thick as wet ash. I heard laughter rising from the dust, the kind that cracks ribs, the kind that makes saints stutter and sinners smile, every stone an eye, every shadow a hidden confession. And then it came, a whisper cut from the throat of thunder, a tongue of knowledge in the feathered night. I tasted it, harsh as lightning, sweet as decay, a gospel written in bones and feathers. The word was not the word, but a wound that sang, a candle licking the belly of darkness. I followed it past the canyons of silence, through corridors of lust and flesh, where angels crawled on their bellies and wolves preyed on the weak. No face was true anymore. Masks had melted into blistering skin. The tongue kept speaking of fire disguised as rain, of lovers dissolving into mirrors, of how death is like a drunk priest fumbling his chalice, spilling wine across the altar. I wanted to believe it. I wanted to tear my chest open and let its truth nest within. But truth is a cruel bird to follow. First, she pecks your eyes, then pretends to teach you to see. At dawn, I was left with nothing but feathers in my mouth, the taste of ash and honey, and the echo of a voice that promised knowledge, but left me hungering for the darkness. At dawn, I swallowed the feathers, ash dissolving into my bones, a small aching pain, dimming the light. Still, the voice clawed at my ribs, and I kept walking with the secret I could never tell. End poem.
Oh, that was delightful. Let's see who gets to comment first. I believe, Tressa, you're up first in the rotation if you're comfortable commenting on this one.
Yeah, sure. I'll give it a go. I think for me, this, what first came to mind was someone going through some kind of a spiritual awakening in a way. And really because when he says he's talking about no face was true anymore, masks had melted into blistering skin, and that just to me is shedding old layers and releasing old identities. And there was another part somewhere here. Oh, it was talking about the lovers dissolving into mirrors, which to me that speaks of your partner being a reflection of yourself, and they bring up not only the best in you, but they also bring up the less pleasant parts of yourself. And it was a deep dive that was really, really beautiful, and it had a lot of emotion in it.
Well, I think so. I think so as well. Very well said, Tressa. Belladonna, your thoughts? And I should ask, do you prefer Noelle or Belladonna?
It really doesn't matter. Whatever's easier, if and whatever you prefer.
Okay. And your thoughts on this one, then, Noelle?
I found that a few sentiments really resonated with me, such as the insatiable thirst for knowledge and how that can leave you feeling famished. There was this one stanza that stood out to me the most because it spoke of, like, it was almost ceremonial, like religion, and that stanza was, the tongue kept speaking of fire disguised as rain, of lovers dissolving into mirrors, of how death is like a drunk priest fumbling his chalice, spilling wine across the altar. That stanza jumped out at me because the symbolism is just so rich. It's like you're looking for truth, but whatever you get is the opposite. And I really like whatever he wrote afterward. I feel like it really ended things on that, like, on a mysterious note, like constantly searching for knowledge but never actually getting whatever that you're looking for.
Yeah, very well said. This is to me, when I seen the picture of Jim Morrison, I was like, okay, obviously this has got something to do with Jim Morrison and his poetic voice and vision and stuff like that. The Lizard King and all the stuff that is the legend that was Jim Morrison. But he was a poetic soul to begin with. And I think we can all identify with that. And this captures very well the spirit of Jim Morrison, how he dove into, there was a lot of things with nature and with obviously peyote and acid trips and alternatives and things like that, which he was always in pursuit of something. But in the end, it turned out to be darkness. And this piece didn't really even hint at it. It just kind of said it, he was in pursuit, or this person that is being wrote of is in pursuit of these enlightenments and finds darkness from it. And I think that's what Morrison did with his life, was he found darkness in the pursuit of enlightenment, which is so odd. I mean, he was one of a kind for that reason. So I felt like this represented Jim Morrison in a way that I appreciated poetically. I appreciated the piece for that. And there was a lot of those very fitting phrases in there. They were sprinkled throughout the piece, and it was a really good piece for that reason. Really enjoyed it. And it was a good read too, Zach. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I really enjoyed this piece. I'm a big fan of the Doors and Jim Morrison's poetry. So this kind of resonated with me. I like especially how desolate this journey into the soul seemed. It seemed very singular. I didn't feel like it was there are many others attached to it. It was just kind of like very lonely in there. And he has kind of these feverish heat visions, I think. And truth hits him like the sun. He kind of, like, I guess has almost like a heat stroke in a way. And he's kind of just seeing, I think he's almost, but not quite hallucinating. He could be. But it just, like, especially when he starts swallowing feathers, that seems kind of ritualistic to me. And ash dissolving into bones, like that's, and like the bird becoming a part of the speaker, and I think he refers to truth. I think that's what the bird is symbolizing truth, and he's accepting it into himself. It's so much so that it becomes a part of himself, and the truth is not an easy pill to swallow, and it's kind of he becomes, he not only does he accept the truth, but a kind of darkness too, as Bill was mentioning. He just flat out says the truth left him hungering for darkness, and he just swallows the feathers, and that's it from there.
It did seem very ritualistic. I like that, Zach. Well said. Oh, I wonder what we got next.
Next up,
what are we looking at?
Yeah, next up we have Lost in the Glass and by Scarlet Knight, and that's Tress's read.
All right, here we go. Who are you when unobserved? Turning to your reflection. Is it anything but holding a mirror to a mirror? Beneath the unending layers of nothing, is there someone hidden? A shadow so far back in the hallway, built up of green mirror edges, you have to squint to see it? Or does a dead-eyed husk stare back at you with its empty sockets? Does the glass play endless accidents like a TV hides behind the empty eyes you search so desperately for meaning in? Do you watch your reflection melt away, flesh and bone dripping into an empty puddle the second everyone leaves the room? Does the glass form into an endless maze of unrecognizable faces that all claim to be you? As you sprint panicked through these deceptive halls, crashing through glass that slices you to ribbons, bouncing off the reflective walls, running headfirst into images of someone you don't know, desperately searching for what's real. Do you think maybe it's time to take a break from staring into the glass? Perhaps in trying to find yourself, have you lost what's left? End poem.
That one was deep. Noelle, do you want to go first on this one?
Well, I need some time to think about it, but I could just share a few of my initial thoughts.
No, it's okay. I can go first if you'd like a moment.
Okay, sounds good.
Okay. I felt in this piece that this poet was speaking of spending so much time examining herself, Scarlet, looking at herself and looking in the mirror and trying to figure out who she is and not really getting anywhere. And there's a frustration to it because you're stuck in it. I heard something a long time ago that this reminded me of. Meditation and yoga and stuff like that is a good thing, right? But it can be a bad thing if you do too much of it. I know that's very, very cliche, but the truth is, if you keep looking at yourself, if you keep looking within, you're only going to find wrongs because that's what you're looking for. You don't see the rights. You blare right past them. You don't see what you're doing well. You see the things you're doing poorly, and you tend to dwell on those, and because those are the things you want to work on. But you don't give yourself that positive credit for all those things you're doing so well. For instance, wanting to look at yourself, wanting to improve as a human being, that's a positive thing. So there's, I think the duration of this is really what it shows. There's a frustration in the length of time that there's been this looking inward. And that's what I felt most out of this piece. Like the writer is tired of looking inward and ready to, get on with life and just move on. And it was a good piece for that because I understood that's where it hit me. Let's see. Are you ready now, Noelle, to go, or would you like Zach to go?
Oh, I'm ready. I actually agree with you. That's what I got from the poem. I wasn't completely sure, but whatever you said, I completely agree with you. And these are actually the same thoughts I had yesterday about reflecting too much on myself and what I need to improve on, it's almost become like an obsession to like reach some sort of perfection in order to do things in life. And I think we have, I mean, not just me, but I think many people, they want to find themselves and understand, and it seems like that endless chase, it never, it's never satisfying. I feel like there's a theme with between this poem and the poem before about um, looking for things and not being satisfied with the answers. So the writer asks an important question. Do you think maybe it's time to take a break from staring into the glass? And it kind of takes me back to my childhood too, because I remember my grandpa would always yell at us as kids when we stared too much at ourselves. So I think it almost makes you like self-conscious to keep looking inward or at yourself.
I agree with you, Noel. We got the same thing out of that piece. Well said. Let's see, Zach. I think it's you, isn't it?
Yeah. Um, this was an interesting piece. I really like. This seems to what happens. This kind of introspection happens when people, I think, are alone with their thoughts. Not necessarily for too long, but like as some folks mentioned, they could turn inward if it's almost to a fault if it's just like concentrated for like I guess too long of that sort of almost self-destructive introspection. I think it is. It's kind of a regression, and I like how it's represented by the shattering of the glass and kind of the laceration, the metaphorical laceration of the self, and that's like definitely not moving forward. That's that's it's very literal, not moving forward. When that kind of stillness is involved. Yeah, I just thought it was a third like it's a kind of a motivational piece in a way to kind of it kind of to not stay static, I guess, to kind of not be stagnant, and to be kind of like moving forward. That's what this piece kind of speaks to me like.
No, I agree, Zach. Trissa, what are your thoughts? You got to read it.
Yeah, I actually really resonated with this piece in certain ways because I've done a lot of my own introspection and reflecting on myself and trying to like figure out like underneath all of the layers of different programming and like belief systems that I've like started to believe in or had programmed into me. And like Noelle said, it really like there has to be a balance because you start looking at the negative so deeply and then it starts giving you this crisis in your head and it just creates panic and it creates uncertainty in yourself and it keeps you stuck somewhere that you're not supposed to be because you're not supposed to be like holding yourself back in the past. You're supposed to be in the present moment moving forward. And I think that that's something that some people will miss when they're trying to do that kind of introspection is like not realizing that it's okay to look at those old versions of yourself, but you also have to decide who you want to be from that point moving forward. And that's when I think the end of this poem, the poet's talking about just like not staying stuck in that past anymore, but instead they're going to choose to like work with what they have and go from there. So I think it was a really good way of capturing fear of like losing your identity or not even knowing exactly who you are, but choosing to do the best with what you got.
It was a powerful piece, and I think we all identified with it in that way. So let's see. What do we got next, Zach?
Next up we have Belladonna Nightshade's piece, and that's Last Halloween. And Noelle, that's your read.
Last Halloween. Her violet eyes shift side to side above my desk, atop the bookshelf. They warned me. The doll has a dark presence. Lights shut off, power outage. Her neck tilts momentarily. Blonde curls sway with the wind, window left open since last night. She blinks, as if she wants to warn me of foreboding doom. She must have whispered, be stronger, wander, get lost in dark alleys alone, be unbothered by the strong storms outside, chapped lips, skin torn, bloody slashes test resilience. I grabbed the newborn-sized doll, and we went out for a stroll. She didn't complain that her velvety red dress was stained in the mud as I dragged her across the yard. We climbed up the tree. She steadily kept pace. And when I dropped her in a puddle, she swam away. End poem.
Now see, forgive me, Noelle, if I giggled on this piece and it's not a giggly piece from you, but it reminded me of something from a Seinfeld episode with the porcelain doll. And George Costanza was totally freaked out by it. And I am too. Like, porcelain dolls really freak me out for some reason. Not they're pretty, but I like what you did with this because it shifted from the pristine doll not being able to go outside and do these things, and then ended up being drugged through the mud and all this stuff. And it's kind of having fun. Like a porcelain doll should not have fun. And that's what I kind of got out of this when you were reading it as the fun part. It was actually a little bit fun to me, but it was kind of written in a little bit of a creepy way too, which was neat. I really like that you pulled that off. And it was a joy to hear you reading it and going through the progression. And I was like, this is unique. It's unique, and kudos on that, because writing something that makes me laugh that is creepy too is pretty good. That's pretty good. And I don't know if that was your intent, but it's the way it hit me. So I appreciated it for that reason. It was a joy to hear you read it as well. Thank you.
Thank you.
Let's see who's next. It would be Zach.
Yeah, this I enjoyed this piece a lot. This reminded me of an old Twilight Zone episode with Taki Tina, but that in a way that like that all was like a talking doll. This was a silent doll, so I was like kind of struck by that contrast. And she's silent, but she's still alive, and shifting around, and there's a sense of impending doom about her. And I like how the speaker and the doll are kind of in cahoots. They're kind of together rather than, traditionally I feel like these kind of, or not these kind of, but like rather doll narratives, like when folks, like you have those Chucky thrillers and all kinds of other doll reference. I could like throw in more, but like they're basically at each other's throats. But this isn't the case here. They're kind of like comforting each other in a way throughout these trials and tribulations. Getting lost in dark alleys, being alone. So I get the sense that they're like they're helping each other in a way, and that I like the fact that she didn't complain when she was stained into the mud. So I mean, they're like, in a sense, I just like that sense of that sort of the bond they form. I do, and how she kind of the speaker kind of releases the doll at the end, and in a puddle, she swims away. So I guess that means that the speaker was more or less ready to be separated from the doll at that point, and I just really, really enjoyed it.
No, I did too, Zach. Tressa, your thoughts?
Yeah, I actually really liked this. It was like a story of basically overcoming your fears and just really like navigating your way through life like the way that kids do. They start out in ways like having their imaginary friends or whoever to kind of like help guide them through the transitions in life and everything. And the way that this one starts out, like at first I thought it was going to be some horror, sinister thing, but it transitioned from like this doll of perfection and staying inside indoors, not really experiencing or exploring, and this doll encouraging her to actually like step out of her comfort zone into the world, like experience and try new things. And it just it reminded me of a story of just like growth and embracing life. And I agree with what Zach said about the ending. And I thought that was a really cool way to actually close it off, was just the way that she kind of parted ways with that doll or that aspect of herself or whatever it may be. But I thought it was a really clever and well written piece.
I like the way you said that too, Tressa. It's a coming of age at the end, and that's the neat part. The eerie, creepy stuff, and there's growth, and then coming of age at the end. It was well done. Let's see. We ready to move on, Zach?
Yes. Next up, we have the Poet's piece, and that's The Magicians, The Dream of Me, a Song. And that's your read, Bill.
I'm sorry, which one is it?
Oh,
On up, Zach. Pac-Man.
One up. Oh,
graduations. You're okay. You're okay.
The graduations one. Yeah, you're right. Graduations.
That was the one you said's in the Poe bit, right?
Right.
I
yeah.
think so. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. We're straight now. Look, I'm going to tell you, I was nervous because you guys have read so well already, and I'm going last as a reader. So I'm going to try not to stumble on this and see if I can get it right. What was it? Graduations by Pac-Man. That's correct. Have you ever found yourself in the old neighborhood? Could you resist driving by the house in which you grew? Developing the traditions you now hold in all likelihood, and the memories where young dreams could come true. You can still remember that very first day in class. Some children were crying while grasping a parent. Then there was the monkey suit while attending mass, and the doctrines to which you remain adherent. That first day of high school and the September migration. Friends you may not have seen all summer long. Then it seems, in the wink of an eye, you attend graduation, and those camaraderies dissolve like a forgotten song. You might have decided to matriculate, thus avoiding conscription. Your girlfriend, now your wife, thought it wise. However, these were not thoughts for which you held subscription. It was a paradigm you could not compromise. So you found yourself in country among a new set of friends. You learned to depend on them as they did you. In a firefight, your perspective is seen through a new lens, and you didn't always enjoy the view. Herein lies another chapter from which you'd graduate, only to come home again to this very same house. Home with your family, but with a new life to contemplate, with the woman you would take as your spouse. So here you sit, not very far from your new habitation. It seems the seed doesn't fall far from the tree. And here again, you experience another graduation. You're now a father with a child at your knee. With your reverie broken, you're brought back to the present as you pull away the old house you can see in the mirror. The time has slipped by, but the journey was pleasant, and each graduation helped you see so much clearer. End poem. Oh boy. Well, that confirms a thought I had about Pac-Man before, Zach. Remember we discussed his piece, The Jungle? I believe this is in reference to to Vietnam as well. So let's see. I believe, Zach, you get to comment first. Sorry,
Sure.
I was looking for my list.
Yeah, I could oh man, this one um these graduations, you know, uh, they have certain starts. I guess it references where you are in life um at the start of them, and you can't help but like start out a certain way. You're dealt a hand, right? And I like how like a more traditional graduation is referenced, like from school. And then like from there it branches outward, like in references to other kinds of graduations, um, graduating from, like, I guess a location that you're essentially moving from, and then you're starting over and finding a new set of friends, and from there you could like graduate into another life essentially. And I like how that poet refers to fatherhood in a way, and that that's another chapter, of which there's like a graduation of sorts from that too. Um, I guess when maybe the child leaves the house, that's a kind of graduation. I just like these series of graduations. I kind of like. I never thought of it like that. I've always thought of the traditional school based, event, and not like this. In these kind of stages, there's kind of it gives the poem a kind of a nice pace to it, certainly, and it gives I think a cool, like, a nice pleasant outlook on life. There's like a trajectory to it. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, I did too, Zach. I thought it was an interesting progression. Let's see. Tressa, your thoughts?
This one for me, like, it was so nostalgic, like from the start, talking about going back to the childhood neighborhood and the house that you grew up in, and kind of like seeing where a lot of your core beliefs started. And that's something that's always like, it always makes me feel nice and warm inside, thinking about that part of my life and that part of my childhood where I was able to really like start to develop myself. And I had, the friends, and I had the good childhood where we weren't stuck on our phones or on games all the time. We were still outside playing. We got to experience life, and I have an appreciation for it. And it just felt like super, like, authentic from the writer. Like, you could tell this was like something that wasn't just him writing or the person writing just to be able to write. Like, you could feel like their own emotion from it. And I feel like it was like hitting on like the timelines that we go through, I guess, or the milestones that we go through that are basically the most important ones we're going to go through in our life. And each of those milestones brings its own like sense of wisdom with it, and a different kind of knowing as you progress through those stages of life. And I related to that because that's kind of something that I'm going through right now, is like actually feeling really appreciative of the wisdom that I've gained so far. And it just, yeah, it made me just feel more grateful for life, and it gives you a good outlook and a good anticipation for what's to come.
I like what you said there, Trissa, there at the end. It gave you a positive outlook. And I believe this is a positive piece. He's saying thank you for the education he's gotten step by step. And there's fear to that new horizon that you're entering, that new education that you're getting, be it, in the jungles of Vietnam, straight out of high school, and having a kid, getting married, but he kept returning to the same home. And that's what I thought was neat. There was a grounding to it because of the home, but everything was changing except the structure of the home. It still looked the same. He recognized it as his home, but so much had changed. And that's why a home is a special place. A home is a special place because so much of you is created there. So much of who you are comes from that home. And you always come back to it and you feel this nostalgic connection, even after it changed. I drive through my old neighborhood. I drive through East 6th Street every now and then. It's probably less often than I used to, but I drive by there and I think about my friends that I never see anymore, and playing Jailbreak and all those things. And then, progressing to driving and stuff like that. All those graduations happened in the same place. I love the way this piece is grounded, was my favorite part. The life lessons and the education is well taken. And I appreciate that of it. It is a very, very positive piece in my mind. And I really liked the nostalgia of it as well. Like you said, Tressa. Let's see. Where are we at? Zach, you're up.
Oh, did Noel say?
Did Noel say so? Did you go, Noel? I'm sorry. Did I miss you?
Yeah, it's okay. I could briefly summarize my thoughts.
That's okay. We want to hear from you.
Okay, so I really like the rhythm and the flow of the way this poem was written. I felt like the passage of time really stood out. And for me, the way I interpreted this poem was more melancholic, particularly for me when I think of staying in one place and just having one home and having that be the center of your existence. To me, it just feels small and limiting. I'm not sure how he feels towards it, but he does reflect on the passage of time. A few lines stood out to me the most. It was when some children were crying while grasping a parent. I used to cry a lot for my mom, and so that reminded me of not wanting to let go of things, kind of being in one place, which is limiting, but also it's just natural in a way. What else? I actually commented on this poem a long time ago, and I wrote, this poem has an upbeat view on graduations and new beginnings, though we look at the past and where we came from and wonder what happened to the lost time. And one of my favorite lines was, then it seems in the wink of an eye you attend graduation, and those camaraderies dissolve like a forgotten song. And I said, that's so true.
Couldn't agree more, Noel. Well said. Let's see. Now it's Zach. And Zach, thank you for keeping me straight. I don't know how I looked at B and U and got them confused, but I sure did. Thank you for lining that out. Didn't want to skip
it. So next up is the Poe segment, right? Next up we have the next 8 poems are more or less related to Poe. So I just wanted to let all you folks know about that before we get into that. It's going to be good.
It's a different segment. It's a different segment indeed, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
And this is something we were looking forward to. So let's put a shout out there first for Yumpy running this contest.
Mm-hmm.
He does a lot of stuff on the contest boards, guys. If you need some inspiration and stuff like that, go up to that topic board that has all the contests on it. Yumpy is continuously doing things. We're starting to get some more entries for Poet of the Month. Remember to do that there and delve into some of the contests that the poets from our group are running and advertising there, because there's some great inspiration. So without further ado, I suppose we're ready to get going, aren't we?
All right. That sounds good. That brings us to the first one, which is my piece, and that's entitled Hide, Seek, Die, and Weep. She quickens her lithe step in my dream, Even as I sleep, I hear her slow heartbeat, pulsing under her skin, the color of cream. Blood pumps through ventricles, veins thicken. Carmine rivers hidden by Theodora's pale skin. To me, gleaming for no one else from within. Her perfume drifts under the marble coffin lid, undoes the clasp from her bodice, laughs, kids, ruins of paradise. She flutters her eyelids. Corridors yawn wide, lit by dim candlelight. Oranges and reds flicker, low but bright, waiting for her footsteps to reach me tonight. Giggles rise, footsteps descend, halls echo. My porcelain rose beneath the candle's glow. Find me, climb into my coffin, go where I go. Not telling which part of the castle to explore, thousands of ancient stones, just one to adore. Entering the coldest corridor on the top floor, my chamber door releases blackest shadows. It spies my sepulchre, emblazoned with roses. Lid ajar, where full lavender scent fills my nose. Sliding open with a grumble, she flies to me. Eyes wide and plump lips shine a liquid sheen. Wider as she plunges headfirst like a fish to sea, brimming with the sight of my face, much too fast. I sat in the moment, granting immortality to last. But her head hit the marble with a harsh crack. Dear Theodora dies in my arms, lolling neck. Drops of blood fall onto her blooming chest, lamenting my love, thicker than blood laid to rest. Cradling her, I plunge sharp ivory fangs into my wrist. Quickly I smear myself all over impatient lips. Slow, I envelop her with a transformative kiss, saying I detect no pulse, not in her veins. My love is dead, there is no beat, this is no game. Clutching her to my flesh, wanting her back again, howling like the damned, like the mad, like the dead, smoothing back the black hair of her fair head. Here I will lie with her until all my blood is bled, and I forsake my immortal life. This is the end. End poem.
Oh, what a good start. Let's see, Tressa, you get to go first on this if you're ready.
Yeah, I am. I thought it was super creative, like bringing the vampiric kind of storyline into it, especially like because it does so well, like feeding into the atmosphere of like the gothic love story and the tragedy that comes with it. And he did a really, really good job, like creating the atmosphere in general, like the way that he was describing things like the corridors were yawning, the halls were echoing, and the way he was describing his love, like he just did a really good job at making it a vivid picture. And it felt like you were kind of like reading out of a novel. Um, I think it was a really good ending. The last stanza for me, I really liked how he closed it off, saying, howling like the damned, like the mad, like the dead. Um, he's just so completely broken, and he's an immortal being, but he's literally sacrificing and letting go of that immortality to be with his love because he can't even imagine going on without her. And that was just, he captured a true tragic love story and its essence like perfectly. So good job.
Yeah, good job indeed. Let's see. Noelle, your thoughts on this one?
I agree with Tressa. It's tragic and gothic. I really like how all the senses are incorporated and it makes everything come to life. I like the rhyme and the use of like 3 lines in the stanza. And like I kept wondering, like reading it, it was really engaging. Like, what will happen to Theodora? I didn't like what happened to her, but it was still interesting to read like the reaction the vampire had to like losing his like one true love. And in a way, that part reminded me of Dracula and how he reacted to losing his love. And it's not a good feeling to lose anything, but it is. I feel like it's such a good reflection on loss and not. It's realistic in a way because not every love story has a happy ending.
That is absolutely true, Noel. I agree 100%. Not all of them do have. And this one particularly was tragic. I mean, and great storytelling too, Zach. I love the way you told this story. And I did notice the 3 lines per stanza too. It gives it a different kind of rhythm. And I like that where the breaks are and stuff like that. It's nice to see pieces that bring something in form that is a little different than what you're used to. It kind of makes the rhythm different and makes it read different and feel different, and that's what this did to me as I was reading along with it. But I particularly liked the way the vampire was the vampire was subtly dragged into like this world of Poe-esque type thought. And the story being told here was a beautiful story. It was a beautiful story of love. And it appears I couldn't gather any more out of this other than, they were to the point where she was going to join him. And then something happened, a slip and fall or something where she cracked her head open and he couldn't save her. So then he's just mortified because he was going to have her forever and now he doesn't have her at all. And it's such a tragic twist. And what I like about that is the same thing I like about the old Greek tragedies. You don't see it coming until it smacks you in the head. And then you're like, oh, I just had my soul ripped out. And that's what this did. It had a very kind, loving start and then just twisted on its side and gouged the knife in your heart and ripped it out and let you bleed out. Well done, Zach. Your thoughts?
Oh, thanks for all your comments. You all really hit the nail on the head with that. And I really wanted to introduce. I know Poe didn't do. I don't think he wrote about vampires, but I just wanted to introduce that sort of dynamic into an atmosphere that he might sort of write him or find something to write about like that. Really enjoyed writing that. Thank you. Yeah. Next up we have childhood. Oh wait, sorry. Next up we have. What is it? Next up we have childhood reflection by Symphony 8, and that's Tressa's piece. Or Tressa's read, sorry.
All right. Quote from the poem Alone. From childhood hour, I have not been as others were. I have not seen. Reflecting a particular scene, such childhood melancholy scene. Thy soul sitting here secretly alone, impaired, silent, and light with tone. Not thou allow shades of hope, since rarely given to such folk. Continue to surrender never, darkness of unsatisfactory forever. Death succumbs life's shadows, nevermore to banish meadows, since autumn leaves will crackle, just like each year's birth stumbles. Drawn away to be or not be, shall not see even so free. Blocked by still clouds, as thunder binds each mound. Slander of tongues to innocence, will solitude my spirit's intent. Madness seeps my alcoholic pattern, only to continue my horror. Passions I have merely taken, love and sorrow follow men. Beneath their skin weeps, as I listen to waves' defeat. Normalcy will never be. Insane is more of category. Even from childhood's hour, I have not been as others were.
Well read, Tressa. Noel, do you care to comment first on this one?
Yeah, I could share some of my thoughts on this piece. So, I feel like the main theme is that the speaker has a childhood melancholy that has completely shaped their life, and it seems even has caused alcoholism in a way. And one of the lines stood out to me the most. It was towards the end. Normalcy will never be. Insane is more of a category. Even from childhood's hour, I have not been as others were. So it seems like whatever was plaguing her in childhood has continued, and it's almost like a curse. And I also think I was thinking about this yesterday too, like how childhood wounds, they stay with you for a long time, and it's, I think, really, really hard to get rid of. It's like almost like a programming. So I feel like this poem is just an ode to that pain.
Oh,
The pain of,
absolutely.
the pain of aloneness.
Yep, absolutely. That started on childhood too. As I was listening to this being read and I was going through it, I could see, the parallels, the mirrors to Poe, and some of the words were striking in their darkness. But there's, just like with Poe, there's a depth to it. Really, it's the time that is incorporated with the darkness that Poe felt since he was a child. And he's not the only one, but he's probably the most famous that ever wrote about it. And I think this is what Symphony 8 is paralleling here, the darkness that was at the beginning of life that was felt. And it was well written in that respect. And I agree with you, Noel, that last stanza, normalcy will never be. Insane is more of category. Even from childhood's hour, I have not been as others were. I love that because it's a recognition of, I'm different from everybody else. I was raised different. I see things in a different light or absence of light. And that recognition is a powerful thing, a powerful tool, as long as, you don't make yourself totally insane with the darkness. But we're just delving into Poe now for fun. And it's always an interesting journey. Let's see. Zach, what are your thoughts?
Thoroughly interesting piece. I thought that this was like a melancholic reflection, not exactly nostalgic, but it's not bitter. It's not bitter. It's just a reflection of what was. I think that that whatever the speaker went through, this darkness, so that shaped a lot of I guess the speaker's life. There's a certain progression here to this piece, and I like how it's incorporated with the seasons and the passage of time into like this gothic scheme. It's kind of unsettling the way this landscape is described, and from there I could see what just a kind of environment might not exactly produce the happiest of memories, or it's just and it matches a lot of Poe's language in a way. I like the nevermores and the internal rhyme schemes, especially, and the mention of it's almost kind of like I felt a sense of loneliness within this atmosphere. I don't know, like there's a kind of a solitude, but it's like a kind of a poisonous, toxic solitude where madness and horror invades, and it's very unsettling, as it were. It's very well done.
I agree, Zach. It was very unsettling. But again, we're dealing with Poe. What can you say? It has to be kind of unsettling, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I think the next piece, Zach, actually was not entered in, and I want to clarify. It was not entered into Yumpie's contest. It was offered by Pac-Man as a fill for the on Poe, so it isn't actually in Yumpie's contest, but it was worthy of being added to it because of the subject matter. Fit right in.
Did everyone talk about that piece? Did everyone comment?
Tressa, did
I
you?
did not.
That's twice I've done that. Sorry, guys, I suck.
Nope, you're fine.
You're fine, man.
So this one for me, I liked the way that it was written. It had like a really like classic feeling to it. It was really refined. Um, it definitely had the style of Poe and the way that he wrote in it to me. But I could really feel like initially like a sense of sadness at first when it's talking about the childhood, and it starts out by saying reflecting a particular scene. And I don't know if that was the poet saying that they're looking at a particular moment that happened that maybe was painful or traumatizing or created some kind of belief system in them that really defined who like they ended up being in life. And it really interrupted their ability to like find genuine connection. And uh, it's like the person is just getting to a point where they're kind of just reflecting back on how it's been a consistent pattern through their life, and it never really went away. And it's not even so much that like they're sad about it anymore. I think it's like feeling like you've kind of come to accept it for what it is, and you're not like it's not troubling you. It's not like you are your own kind of what other people would view as abnormal or insane or whatever it may be, like because you don't fit in, but you've come to terms with that, and you're comfortable in your skin and with knowing that you're different. So I liked it.
I enjoyed it a bunch too. Okay, now I think we can get to that as long as I haven't skipped anybody else. I do apologize, guys, but these things are going to happen, right? I appreciate you guys correcting me, making sure everybody gets involved. What do we got now, Zach?
All right,
We're
next
ready
up
for-
we have Pac-Man's piece, and that's called Edgar Allan Poe, and that's yours, Noel.
All right, Edgar Allan Poe. And I noticed this got a gold in the Poe contest about a year ago, so should be good. In the knolls of poetry where shadows dance and fears would swell, he traversed the realms of darkness like an ancient but gossamer spell. His quill a macabre instrument of morbidity, allowing his hellish ink to flow, one name arises with demonic overtones, that of Edgar Allan Poe. A most notable tale is that of the raven's infernal call, and the seemingly mysterious dialogue, to wickedly enthrall. He wrote in a manner that conjured worlds of sinister and eerie grace. The reader is thus drawn into a diabolic and haunting place. Within the vaults of gloom and misery the author's mind would soar, inviting the reader into the realm of dark and mysterious lore. His ease within the shadowed depths where his verses weave. We encountered a tapestry of horrid tales he would have us all believe. He often writes of haunted dreams giving way to eerie chimes, applying his quill upon the script of gruesome and wicked rhymes. He blatantly reveals enchanted minds displaying a Gothic art. Quickly falling prey, his prose awakens the tell-tale heart. With the raven thus perched upon his chamber door, does the poet reveal a wizened cliché, perhaps a metaphor? Emblazoned thus in cryptic verse, his soul compelled to speak, the enamored bard of romantic lore captures the grim and bleak. By candlelight he plies his trade within a somber room. Before the sun shall rise again, he's conjured a spectre's gloom. Poe has become a purveyor of the supernatural curse, and today he's known as a master of the inscribed and haunting verse. Those of us who have explored his words find they will forever endure, and in the hearts and minds of devotees they carry a certain allure. Though he has passed to a different realm, he remains the bard of the darkened lore. We will once again see his like. Quote the Raven nevermore. Edgar Allan Poe, The Raven, circa 1845.
Well, this sure captured a whole bunch about Poe, didn't it? I can see why this won gold in the contest it was entered in some time ago, because it travels through the world of Poe and into his mind and into how it makes this poet feel as he's reading it. And I there's clearly an admiration for the subject matter and how adept Poe it was at that subject matter. And there's, I think this really encompasses a lot of what people are drawn to with Poe's writing, because there's flirting with sanity and insanity and all those things, and just staying out. It's amazing to me how somebody could stay in that darkness for the entire duration of their life, however long it lasts, just to stay in that darkness and be so committed to it. And not just be committed to it, but to explore it, explore all the metaphors that he did with, death and darkness and stuff like that. And I think this piece captures that in a very broad sense all the way through. And it gets to specifics and mentioning, different poems and things like that, writings and quotes of Poe's. And I like that too. I mean, when he references the telltale heart, he blatantly reveals enchanted minds displaying a Gothic art. Quickly falling prey, his prose awakens the telltale heart. I think he's using that title to refer to as your heart, your own heart. It's awakening your heart, or his heart, the writer's heart, and the readers too, because I agree. And I really appreciated it for that. It traveled along all the things that we appreciate about Poe. So well read and a great piece. Let's see. Zach, you're next.
I really appreciated this. So sort of like an all-encompassing view of Poe, the artist, written by someone who is a true fan of his art. And I like the rhythm of the piece. The end rhyme kind of carries it. And I think my favorite couplet is it kind of embodies Poe for me the most, is emblazoned thus in cryptic verse, his soul compelled to speak. The enamored bard of romantic lore captures the grim and bleak. Yeah, I mean, romantic yet grim and bleak. That's pretty much it for me when it comes to Poe. And I just like how the speaker addresses Poe, his history, his impact, mentions a little bit about his followers and the speaker's own appreciation for Poe. And I like what Bill said about awakening the speaker's heart in a way, or getting it to pump faster, maybe. I really thought that was cool. So yeah, I don't really get to read a piece about Poe like this, as in an historical piece. A lot of Poe pieces that I read, that others kind of, including myself, try to imitate him sometimes. I feel like this is different than that. This is more like referencing him, the poet himself, and I really like that angle of the piece, especially. It's a little bit different that way, and I like it.
Couldn't agree more, Zach. Let's see who we got next. Tressa?
Yeah, I really enjoyed this one. It felt like you could feel the poet's reverence and adoration towards Poe more so than other poems and writings about him. And it felt like he was it could have almost been something that he had written for his eulogy or something, that there was that kind of connection to his essence and the understanding of him and his life. And it was just a really good remembrance of him. I felt it was a really good tribute to, like, if anybody was wanting to like have an understanding of Poe, or kind of like have a quicker summary of who he was and his journey of darkness and life and his haunted spirit that he, and his mind that he dealt with his entire life. Like, this would be a perfect way to sum it up, and it's a beautiful and eloquent way. I think it was super well written, and I liked the way that it was taken, and it was definitely deserving of a gold for sure.
I thought the same thing. Noelle, what are your thoughts?
This poem was exceptionally well written. The rhyme, the flow, it was just so easy to read. And it was a fabulous homage to like the king of Gothic poetry. Like, Poe is definitely famous for like the darkness and just staying in that like in he just, yeah, he's definitely famous for that, delving into that darkness. And yeah, like I feel like I also, most of my poetry is dark, and so I can relate to a lot of his poetry. And it's just interesting to see, like, to read his mindset on life. And yeah, Poe is definitely a great poet, and this was a great tribute to him.
Well, I think all poets can appreciate the darkness that Poe's written from, his entire career. It has a beauty all of its own. That's why we're doing this segment on him. Well said, Noelle, and well read too, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
Zach, what do we got next?
Next up, we have the Poet's piece, and that's entitled "The Magicians: The Dream of Me, a Song." And that's your read, Bill.
Oh, is all that I see or seem but a dream within a dream. My life is but a series of strange illusions and delusions, hiding the real me from the world. No one sees the real me, not even me. I have lost the real me. I don't know myself anymore. All they see is my handsome facade. They see the man I am, meant to be, but can never be. He is my greatest illusion. He is not me. Am I only a dream, a delusion of their minds? No one truly knows me, not even me. If they saw the truth, they'd call me a monster. If they knew the true me, the universe would fall. Am I truly a monster? I don't want the universe to burn. I must rise for the people not to fall. Oh, is all that I see or seem but a dream within a dream? My life is but a series of strange illusions and delusions, hiding the real me from the world. No one sees the real me, not even me. I have lost the real me. I don't know myself anymore. All they see is my handsome facade. They see the man I am meant to be, but can never be. He is my greatest illusion. He is not me. Am I only a dream, a delusion for their minds? No one truly knows me, not even me. If they saw the truth, they'd call me a monster. If they knew the true me, the universe would fall. Am I truly a monster? I don't want the universe to burn. I must rise for the people not to fall. Oh, have I lost the real me behind my illusions and delusions? Who am I? Have I truly lost the real me? In poem. Well, let's see. Tressa, you get to go first if you like on this one.
Sure. Yeah, this to me was like someone who has like their own struggles with some kind of like mental health problems or depression or whatever it may be, or quote unquote having demons that you have to deal with, and maybe like putting so many different masks on for society and to avoid their judgment or just to appease their expectations of you. And then like at the same time, knowing that you have this certain darkness in you and in your mind, and it's something that like frightens you or something that you don't want to have to look at. So again, you create a different identity over it, and you tell yourself so many times that you're someone else, and you think a different way, or you see things a different way, or you would not behave this way. And eventually it gets to a point where you become lost in all those other identities, and you don't even know who you are, and it creates a crisis of its own. And I think it's just, he did a really good job with expressing kind of that feeling of that loss and that feeling of that confusion and not knowing. And it kind of creates a sad loneliness to it. I like the way that it repeated itself, though. I guess I was reading that it was made to be like a song, and I think it really rounded it up well, and it gave it a really good ending. So I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I thought it ended well too. Noelle, what are your thoughts? Noelle, you're on mute. You ready to give your thoughts on this one?
Okay, hello?
Hey, that
Hey.
happens to me a bunch,
I don't know
Noelle.
what happened. So, yeah, one of the lines I found was heartbreaking, and I could somewhat relate to it. It was, "They see the man I am meant to be, but can never be. He is my greatest illusion. He is not me." For me, it seems like something has gotten in the way of them reaching whoever it is they imagine themselves to be. In their illusions or delusions, they imagine themselves to be someone else, and for some reason or another, they came to the conclusion that that's not possible, that it can never be, which is pretty sad, to have these dreams and not believe in it. And the repetition of those lines made it eerie, almost like a chant, like an affirmation, but in reverse. And I also noticed how the writer of this poem mentioned that it was a dream within a dream, which reflects, I think, one of Poe's writings. So there was a connection to Poe there. And yeah, I found this poem really sad. Yeah, that's it.
I did as well, Noelle. I felt it was really sad because it was a look in at oneself, and it put me in mind of somebody who might be a people pleaser, just in the simplest form without really examining psyche and going deep into the darkness and stuff. But it felt to me like somebody that is a people pleaser and is constantly chasing and adding layers to themselves, and to the point that they are lost and don't know who they actually are because they were constantly and continuously adding layers for other people, not for themselves. And then they look in the mirror and they're like, who the heck am I? And that kind of awakening that comes from that. And I believe that there was in the author's notes, the fact that this is a song, because as I read it, I realized the second there were the repeats were there. And I was like, okay. And then whenever I was reading down, as you guys started commenting, and I seen this as a song from The Edge of Identity. And I thought that was interesting. The Edge of Identity. I really like that in the author's notes. And sometimes there's some really good stuff in the author's notes too. Rachel's one that usually does elaborate in the author's notes, and it's helpful. But this is very enjoyable in a dark way and a look within, and I like it. The pondering is like one of my favorite things to do. So Tressa, I'm going to ask you, you said you had something picked out. Did you find it? Would you like to comment on that now?
Let me see really quick, 1 second. So it was when he was talking about if they saw the truth, they'd call me a monster. If they knew the true me, the universe would fall. And it's, am I truly a monster? I don't want the universe to burn. I must rise for the people not to fall. I think that that was like really eye opening to exactly how deep the struggles can go about how you view yourself and the belief systems that people have put on you, like that have become your core beliefs. And sometimes, like, we judge ourselves so much harder than we should just because of society's opinions on things and what they say is or is not appropriate or socially acceptable. And I think that like that ends up like making it worse in your mind sometimes, to where it actually does become its own kind of monster, and it builds an unnecessary like bigger harm than what should be there. But I liked that part. I thought it was a good way to describe it.
And that comment was well worth coming back to. Thanks for putting it out there, Tressa, that you had something else you wanted to say. Let's see what else. What do we got now, Zach? We moving forward here?
Oh, I guess about the piece real quick. It was like a crisis of identity to me. It had me questioning how the me of the piece would be sort of referenced, that would be addressed. And it's like an honest sort of introspection. I thought, despite the delusions and the illusions that could, sort of pollute the mind and kind of cause all sorts of chaos and stuff, I thought it was very honest. I like the assonance of the E sounds a lot. It kind of carried the repetition and rhyme a lot for me. Certain repetition of passages reminded me of how madness progresses and becomes like a descent. Certain lines are repeated, like "Am I a monster? Am I not a monster? I don't want the universe to burn. I must rise for the people." I think like something like that is repeat, like a series of those lines or some other lines too are repeated throughout, and it gives the sense of like a descent to me. By the end of it, I feel like the speaker is truly lost, and there's a progression from the start of the piece, from the dream to like a true sense of like just loss of identity or questioning what that is really. It's fragmented. It's very well written.
I love that word, fragmented. Well said, Zach. The good thing is, Zach, I just skipped you there in the comments too. So now I've skipped everybody. All I got to do is skip me, and I've bat 1,000. I'm sorry, guys. All right, we're ready to move on here, Zach.
Sounds good, man. Next up is Yumpy's piece, and that's called Dreams of the Dark Mind, and that's my read. Dreams of the Dark Mind. From childhood's hour I've walked alone, through haunted halls of flesh and bone, where whispers crawl and shadows leer. I peered into the depth of fear. Deep into that darkness peering, long I stood there, wandering, fearing if what I saw was truly mine, or but a trick of pure design. Is all what we see or seem to find a vision within my dreaming mind, each echo born of silent screams, each heartbeat wrapped in broken dreams. I became insane, or so they say. My sanity rots day by day. For truth a blade with double gleam, reality is just a fractured seam. And still the night, with hollowed eyes, peers back through veils of masked disguise. It hums a dirge, the stars repeat. In rhythms dark, my will depletes. The moon, a witness, pale and cold, unfurls her grief in ghostly mold, and on her lips a silent prayer for all who dream but perish there. My soul drifts on between the streams of memory and shadow dreams, forever lost, forever bound, where thought and madness circle round. For in the dark I've come to see there lies no truth nor sanity, just echoes of what once was mine, a mind that dreamed itself divine. End poem.
Well read, Zach. Tressa, you ready to comment on this one?
Yeah,
If not, go.
yeah, I can do that. For me, I really first of all noticed how well the rhyming and the flow were in this one. He did a really good job with that. It again starts back in recognizing the childhood and the identity that gets formed from there. And I think that um he maybe would fantasize or visualize the way that he would want his life to be, or things that he hoped that he could have or find. And then he did find some of those things, like his love, and that got taken from him. And it created this sense of just hopelessness, and not really there not being a true point to anything with it. And I think that another part of the thing with Poe was he part of his struggle was his existentialism and his needing of answers that are so deep, and you can just you never can really find the true answer to something, because certain things we just don't know, and it can drive some people insane needing to understand it. And I think that he just got lost in it all, and this really captured kind of the struggle that he went through with himself. And it was really well written.
It was very well written indeed. Let's see, Noelle, what are your thoughts?
I really like the symbolism in this poem, and also the personification. The line that stood out the most initially was my sanity rots day by day, for truth's a blade with double gleam, reality just a fractured seam. That from that point on, Yumpy goes into the unraveling, and he talks about the moon, a silent witness, and she prays for all who dream but perish. So it's almost like the moon cannot interfere, but she just watches, which is a little creepy, but it works for the poem. It gives it the overall vibe. And I also there's a few lines in here I enjoyed. Each heartbeat wrapped in broken dreams. I found that it went with the poem, and it provides a good imagery for whatever is broken. I mean, when you're thinking of something wrapped, you're thinking it's something special, but broken dreams shouldn't be wrapped, which I found ironic. So yeah, there's a lot of darkness in here, and the lines are well written.
I really enjoyed the piece too, because I think it mirrored Poe's tone very well, almost to the point where the quotes were natural. They were very natural within the reading. It went along at a very nice rhythm that was enjoyable, and it had that darkness, it had that exploration, and it had that time factor again, starting out by mentioning childhood. From childhood's hour I've walked alone. These all, I mean, they fit right in with the theme of Poe, and Yumpy did very well with the rhythm and all of that. And it says in his author's note, this poem descends into the labyrinth of perception, where madness and awareness are twins and dreams outlive their dreamers. Inspired by the haunting genius of Edgar Allan Poe, it explores the thin seam between sanity and illusion and the terrible beauty found when one peers too long into the dark. I like that in the author's notes, and it does. That's what the poem does mirror. But I also found it fascinating that we've read two things from Yumpie today, and one being Jim Morrison, the other being Edgar Allan Poe. Both have eerie similarities in different centuries. They were exploring a darkness. They were looking into things. And I find that fascinating that he wrote those two poems so close together, because he's looking into the darkness. And it's kind of neat. He's looking into it deep and looking into it well. Well done, Yumpie. And great piece. Let's see. Zach, did you comment?
Not yet. I agree with everyone was saying about the meter, the rhyme. What Tressa said, especially, I thought was impeccable. It was just a joy to read, and the flow was nice. It just I could pause essentially and really like think of how to inflect my next words, because it was that well placed with the meter. And I thought that this was a nice, it's a special nocturnal piece. It kind of reminds me of like finding answers within the darkness, finding out what that really truly is, that kind of reality. And under the glow of the moon, there's kind of there's no hiding from it. Like Noel said, there's like kind of like revealing the truth under that glow. I really it's kind of impenetrable that way, and like the darkness, I guess. And he's still trying to find answers within that. And like Bill was saying too, it does share similarities with the Jim Morrison piece, and I really like that too. And as well as Yumpie's other pieces, he has quite a range, I think.
Oh, sure does. What do we got next, Zach?
Oh, yeah, that's right. Next up, we have Tressa Rose's piece, and that's entitled "Ravens of the Ravens of the Moon."
Okay. The ravens soar above my head as the shadows dance below. The messengers of my fate torture my mind's new low. For I saw you in a dream last night, where you kissed and held my hand. But when I awoke, it was just me, your memories a scattering sand. The crow it caws with obsidian eyes claws a hole into my darkened soul, reaching for a heart not there, because losing you took its toll. I've sat and waited for your return through crimson-colored tears. Shelves adorned and lined of books tell secrets of darkness and fears. Scorched earth rumbles of lost hope, death and decay on my lover's altar. My soul will once meet yours again. This promise it shall not falter. I call upon the moon and begged, and have made many a sacrifice. Prayers and offerings turned ash. Innocence has paid the price. She answered me with but a truth, one that I dare not to share. So off this cliff I now shall leap. To reunite, I will pay this fare. End poem.
That sure fits in with Poe, doesn't it? Who gets to go first on this one? Noelle, you get to comment first, if you're ready.
All right. So the theme of this poem is incredibly relatable, of losing hope. And let's see, it just sometimes when we lose people that mean the world to us, like everything shatters all at once. The future that you envisioned, it becomes really hard to move forward in life. And if this happens for the first time, even more difficult. And the stanza that stood out to me the most was the second to last one. I called upon the moon and begged, and have made many a sacrifice. Prayers and offerings turned to ash. Innocence has paid the price. The wording there, it just made everything so much more dramatic. So even though sacrifices were made, prayers were still turned to ash. And then the line "innocence has paid the price." It really makes me think about it. Like, what exactly was that innocence that paid the price? It just kind of speaks of guilt, and in a way, and yeah, I think this despair that is ever present in the poem is pretty dark, and it does go well with Poe. It's in that definitely it's in the darkness.
It's very dark. I actually was, as I was listening to it being read and reading along, I thought, boy, this just has such loss in it, just such despair from loss that has, been through the ringer for some time and been on this person's brain, and then they finally decide, well, they can't do it anymore. They can't suffer this loss anymore. And I don't know, it doesn't really just mean like a romantic loss. It's a deep loss, like maybe several family members or something like that over time, where the loss is just felt and piles up and builds up over time. So I really liked the darkness in this because it is so truthful, I think. That kind of darkness that we've all felt, whether it's love loss via a relationship being broken or actual death. And I think this refers to actual death. At least it did in my mind. It's well written, and definitely the dark tone matches anything Poe. Well done, Tressa. Well read too. Zach, your thoughts?
Oh wow, yeah. I initially thought like that something was just really cool about the title, Ravens of the Moon. That's there's something a little bit otherworldly about it. Maybe a little bit cosmic, and I like that. There's like a supernatural sort ofness to it, and I like the symbolism of like the crow kind of clawing a void within the speaker. That's what the loss or whatever it is, the grief that it does. That seems to what it. That's like the literal symbol of what the grief is doing. And it's devastating. I could feel it. Much of what the speaker sees in life seems to remind the speaker of that loss, and that symbolism is powerful. I think, including the crimson tears and begging the moon for an extreme for the truth of what really happened. But but like whatever that truth is, it's extremely bitter because it ends up, whatever it is, revealed within the light of the moon. The speaker, whatever that moon tells the speaker, it seems the speaker takes it to such an extent that the speaker is killed at the end, and that's a tragic end. It's about as tragic as it gets, and that's what happens. It's truly Poe-like in that sense, and tragedy. It's really well written.
Yeah, well done, Tressa. Tell us what you did there.
So for me, this was just kind of, I think it was you that did hit on it. It was just the composition of time, and when you feel deeply as a person and you have loss, especially when it's over multiple times, it creates this hopelessness and this devastation in you that sometimes just it can't be worked through. And I kind of like the way that I took it was him trying to explore all routes to get his love back, to find a way. Like he started losing his mind over it, and he started going through different methods, such as like he had an altar for her where he was trying to pray to the moon, and he was trying to find otherworldly ways to bring her back. And the crow was really like a representation of, well, here you are trying to claw at my heart again. Here you are trying to take another loss from me, but guess what? I don't even have a heart there anymore for you to take from. And so it was just really like trying to express the level and the struggle that he was actually going through, to the point where he was basically just finished with it. And his innocence that was lost, or the innocence that was lost, it was referring to like when you start to make questionable choices and you start to just become a different person than what aligns with your values or your compass, because you're just so lost and you don't know where you are, and you start to just become someone different in general, and it creates this other persona and this monster inside of yourself, and you're just not who you used to be anymore, and that aspect of you is just gone. So yeah, it was. And then he couldn't do it, and the moon whispered to him, and he had a realization that there was nothing he could do to actually bring his lover back into his life. And so it was his only option to reunite was to just let his life go.
I like the explanation there, Tressa. Thank you very much for the clarification. It was a beautiful piece. What we got next, Zach? I think this is the second to the last one.
Yeah, for sure. Next up, we have Fran Marie's piece, and that's entitled Death. And Noelle, that's your.
I keep losing the mic. I don't know why. Okay, so Death. Once upon a midnight dreary, while I pondered weak and weary, stealth shadows steal my mind half spent. Deep down, I drift to hell's descent. Nightmares eat and swallow my breath. Sleep, those little slices of death, how I loathe them. Visions replayed. Grey ghosts beleaguer me as prey. Perhaps Raven has flown once more, his blood-red stains pawn chamber's door, to pierce sad eyes, my curse to bleed, from dead debris his black wing breed. Demons have claim my name to sell, 'tis death's shame, a sad tale to tell. My Lenore, still I grieve her grave, her life asunder I now crave. Breath depart, steady midnight hand, my bloody knife to end strives stand. Sever life's strings to see Lenore, shouts the raven outside my door. Work, sweet death, I implore, take hold, salvation my halo to unfold. Slit wrists, no sorrow does it bring, as I ascend on scarlet wings.
Oh boy, that one's pretty dark. That may be the darkest one yet, I think. It was. I love the quotes in it. I love the rhythm. I love the way you read it, Noelle. It was very well read. But you can see the mirroring of what Poe was doing in his work being portrayed in this piece, but with an interesting kind of spin on it, where things have been woven together a little bit to make, some of Poe's words flow into Fran Marie's words. And that's a beautiful thing to do, to match that rhythm and the rhyme schemes. The midline rhymes and stuff like that are really effective in this piece, and it adds to the darkness and it adds to the Poe-esque feel of it. It's very well done, and I liked it. And it mirrors what Tressa just read, where the love, is so deep and so sorely missed that there's only one way to join it, unfortunately. But the darkness is palpable too. Well done, well read. Let's see, Zach, you're next.
Oh yeah, this piece kind of reminded me of like a little bit of what the Raven would be like if it had a continuation to it. Like if it was like if the Raven somehow like what if the Raven continued? This is kind of like what would be the conclusion, I think. I think my favorite line or reference in the piece was each sleep being like a little death. I read that from time to time, and I think that's true. Um, and in this case, one that brings the speaker closer to Lenore, which is the departed love and the raven. So that's why I thought that this was a continuation of that in a way, and I like how the piece kind of this piece takes uh, some of the unresolved threads of the Raven and sort of just goes all the way to a harrowing conclusion. With the death of the speaker in a tragic way. That really is poetic for sure. I really enjoyed it.
Sorry, guys, got caught typing and could not find the unmute button. Does that make you feel better, Noelle? We all do it. Let's see. Tressa, you're up next.
Okay, yeah, I feel like this one did a really, really good job at like just explaining the depth of his anguish and torment that he was actually going through, and um, the misery that he felt. And it was just like, even if he got a little win, it just life always continued to just knock him down. And I like the part where he's basically got this dark influence being the raven on the other side of the door, like encouraging him and his slip of sanity that he's going through. And um, it perpetuates his downfall and ultimately leads to like him just feeling like there is no other choice, like that he's just the only way out, and the only way to have any kind of release is to kill himself. And she did so good at really gripping the emotion in that and the intensity in that. And then by the time it got to the end of it, it wasn't even like a complete sadness when he knew what he was doing and that he knew that he was about to take his life. It was actually a feeling of rapture in a way, like a feeling of it was a very elegant death is the best way that I can put it. It was something that I actually emotionally felt the release in. And so she just did a really good job with making you feel it. And it was really well written, and the rhyming and everything. It was very nice. Good job.
Well described, Tressa, with the word eloquently. Noelle, your thoughts?
The sadness about losing love, it's again, it's ever present in the poem. But this one had a lot of supernatural element to it. The demons, in fact, they were everywhere, and each stanza, it seems like they were causing the madness. And there's also such tragedy and blood and violence, and the demons seem to really have a grip on this person. So I really like the lines, stealth shadows steal my mind, half spent. And the other line that I liked was the ending. Salvation, my halo to unfold, slit wrists, no sorrow does it bring as I ascend on scarlet wings. So it seems like he thinks, or the author thinks, that he's doing such a good thing, but in fact he's not. So he's definitely lost a sense of reality, and he's lost himself in grief, and that could partly be because of the demons that have claimed my name to sell. So it seems like that emotion is much stronger than his mind.
Great comment, Noelle, and great read too. It was a wonderful piece by Fran. Zach, we're ready to wrap it up, aren't we? It's the
Yes,
last
we
one.
are. All right. That's yours, man. And that's Pondering the Darkness with Poe.
A dreadnought's anchored way over yonder, whilst I meditate, then question and ponder. Is there a monument to those lost without light, where ravens stir in search of eternal night? The bay is haven for my blackened thoughts, endless terrors to be bore and to be wrought. I ponder today as I will ponder tomorrow, time slipping away as I linger in sorrow. My mind revolves around words that make sighs, not hello, good morrow, but farewell and goodbye. Chesapeake Bay's blusters cure some of what ails, surrounded by this heaven, yet my ponderings remain hell. To ponder away and reach no absolution, forevermore echoes a disturbing solution. I do not fear what lies beyond the shadow, the creaks in the distance, above or below. Sanity goes like the tide rolling in and out. I ponder this darkness, my religion, devout. Posterity judges over the vastness of time, imperfect meter, devoid of reason's rhyme. But there shan't be rays of light in my perpetual darkness. They've long surrendered the fight against death and its starkness. I ponder this day, departed fellows and deceased ladies. Is there a difference betwixt my heaven and your Hades? Am I sane or am I not, a beautiful genius or a soul that is lost? End poem. Let's see who gets to go first. Zach, you get to go first.
Sure. Well done. I haven't read this one. This one I like the repetition of ponder and yonder and tomorrow a lot. This is an introspective sort of piece. That's sort of like an ongoing theme and in pondering too. There's like a lingering and a kind of a sorrowful state because the speaker is essentially saying goodbye in a way. There's not like there's like a departing sense. There's like, I think the dreadnought going away in the distance might remind the speaker of a departing, something departing. There's like a sense of like wanting closure. But I'm not sure if the speaker is getting that. It's hard to say. I really like the setting too, the Chesapeake setting, because I could just see that very clearly. That brings some familiarity to the piece, and I really like that there is no fear of this closure too, of death, or the unknown. The speaker is very self-aware of that, and I like that. That there's like a sort of like the tone is sort of, it's not light at the end, but there's a certain resolution that is less dark by the end of it than it was at the beginning, which I liked.
Well, thanks, Zach. Let's see, who do we got next? Tressa?
Okay, yeah. First of all, I noticed like I really think that the image that you chose for the poem really complemented it well. I mean, if there's any place to really like have these deep kind of introspective thoughts and wonderings, like there's no better place than being in front of like a massive body of water. And it just it really set the tone for me, and made it just feel you could feel like you were sitting on the bench with him. And he seems to really just be, it just makes me wonder. It made me think when I was listening to this, it makes me wonder like how much of his actual life did he spend going through this kind of stuff in his head? Like, was it always a serious conversation? Like, was it always like this needing to know and this lack of hope and light, and just this coming to terms with your fate of dying with an unhappy life, an unsatisfactory life. Like it really did a good job at like digging into what the mind and the thought process would be of someone who is going mad or is insane. And I think it was really well written. Good job.
Thank you, Tressa. Noelle, your thoughts?
I found the way that you wrote this was engaging. The question, is there a monument to those lost without light? It immediately, I feel like it draws you in. And I like the setting by the water. You mentioned the tides, sanity going and coming. And like, you're surrounded in this beautiful place that you call heaven, yet your ponderings remain in hell. It's almost paradoxical. Like, why would your thoughts be hellish if you are in heaven? I really like the imagery of the tides, sanity going with the tides. This death that you're not. You mentioned death and fighting against it. You're no longer fighting against death. You're just welcoming the inevitable darkness. I really like the quote at the end. I found it mysterious. Am I sane or am I not? A beautiful genius or a soul that is lost? So you can't even understand if your thoughts are true or if you're going mad. So that last quote in the ending was pretty good. So well done.
Thank you, Noelle, for picking up on that, because that's exactly what I intended with that. This was written from me as I put myself in a place of, if I was sitting there on that park bench, if I was Poe, not trying to write a poem, but just pondering and then notating those thoughts, which may eventually become a poem down the road, but he's constantly pondering darkness. And that's one of the things that Poe did too very well. He had an innate ability to concentrate when he was in that moment. And that's well documented, because he would stay there in that darkness and he would pound it out and he would do those things. So this is a pondering of Poe pondering himself, is kind of how I envisioned it as a write. And that's why I made that a quote at the end, Noelle, is just like you said, am I sane or am I not? A beautiful genius or a soul that's lost? He doesn't even know in that moment which he is, but he knows there's something different about him. He knows that he's stuck in that darkness and all those things. And the amazing thing about this Poe segment is, as dark as it is, as dark as this segment is, and it went wonderfully. Thank you both for joining Zach and myself here, because we've been doing it by ourselves since we started, and we're glad to have you guys here. But the amazing thing is, as dark as this Poe stuff is, Zach's getting ready to laugh.
I knew that was coming. I couldn't stop it. Couldn't stop it. There it goes.
Every single time we cue the exit music, Zach laughs.
I like this music.
Well, thank you. Zach does too. It makes him giggle.
Yes.
Uncontrollably. Zach, do you want to thank the ladies? Do you want to
absolutely?
Thank
the ladies yes. Thanks for joining us, and we love to have you. We really do, and sharing this with us. It's great.
I'm excited that I got to have the experience. It was fun.
Nice
Tressa,
talking to you all. Thank you.
Noelle, anytime, and I promise the next time I'll only skip me. I won't skip everybody else on the comment. I sure did go around robin with you all and skipped every one of you equally. So at least you know Zach's not my favorite. I skipped him too. Really, guys, thank you. Thank you very much. And we squeezed out. This is our longest show yet, Zach. Still felt like a moment, didn't it?
It did. It was one moment.
Yeah. Great job, guys. Seriously. Much appreciated. And we'll do it again next week, won't we, Zach?
Yes.
Definitely
all right,
looking
all you
forward to
Parchies
it.
out there, have a great time. Thanks again for joining us. Noelle, Tressa, anytime.